Throughout history, the phenomenon of a solar eclipse has fascinated, bewildered, and even terrified human civilizations. For the Aztecs, one of the most powerful and advanced pre-Columbian civilizations in Mesoamerica, solar eclipses were not only astronomical wonders but also deeply significant spiritual events that they associated with the fate of the world. Solar eclipses were seen as apocalyptic omens, signaling the potential end of the universe in a world governed by cycles of creation and destruction. This video delves into the Aztec worldview surrounding solar eclipses, their beliefs about the apocalypse, and the rituals they performed to prevent the end of their cosmic cycle. The Aztec civilization, which flourished between the 14th and 16th centuries in the area that is now central Mexico, was deeply spiritual and built its worldview on the idea of cycles. The Aztecs believed that the universe had already gone through multiple iterations, each ending in a cataclysmic event. Their complex pantheon of gods and cosmological beliefs were intricately tied to the forces of nature and the movement of celestial bodies. Central to their spirituality was the concept of time as cyclical, not linear, which played a major role in shaping their apocalyptic beliefs. At the heart of Aztec cosmology was the idea that the gods required regular offerings, including human sacrifices, to maintain the balance of the universe and prevent it from descending into chaos. Their mythology recounts that the present era, the fifth sun, was just one of several epochs, all of which had ended in destruction. The idea that their world was fragile and subject to divine whims was deeply embedded in the Aztec psyche, and this fragility was especially emphasized during solar eclipses. The Aztec belief system revolved around the concept of the 5 suns, or 5 different worlds, each of which had been created and then destroyed. According to Aztec mythology, the universe had undergone 4 previous cycles of creation and destruction, with the current era being the 5th. Each sun, or epoch, was governed by a different god and ended in a unique disaster. The first sun was ruled by Tezcatlipoca, the god of the night sky, and ended when the inhabitants were devoured by jaguars. The second sun, governed by Quetzalcoatl, the god of wind, ended in a great windstorm that transformed the people into monkeys. The third sun, ruled by Tlaloc, the god of rain, was destroyed by a fiery rain of fire. The fourth sun ended in a devastating flood, under the rule of the goddess Chalchihuitl, the deity of water and rivers. The current era, the fifth sun, was thought to be a temporary reprieve before yet another inevitable catastrophe. This era was governed by Tenorio, the sun god, and the Aztecs believed that it too would end in destruction. According to prophecy, the destruction of the fifth sun would come about through earthquakes, but solar eclipses were viewed as potential triggers for this catastrophic end. The appearance of an eclipse was thus a source of profound fear and marked the possibility that the apocalypse could be imminent. Solar eclipses held a particularly ominous place in Aztec cosmology. The temporary disappearance of the sun was seen as a sign that the gods were angry, or that cosmic forces were misaligned. For a civilization that relied on the sun not only for physical survival, but also for spiritual guidance, the sudden blotting out of the sun's light was interpreted as a celestial warning that the end of the fifth sun, and thus the world, might be near. The Aztecs feared that a solar eclipse was a sign that the sun god Tenorio was losing his battle against the forces of darkness, represented by the gods of the underworld. Tenorio, who was thought to be the source of all life, had sacrificed himself to ensure that the sun would rise and set every day. However, this cosmic cycle was not self-sustaining. According to Aztec belief, Tenorio required continuous nourishment in the form of human blood and hearts to keep moving across the sky and ensure the continuation of life. During a solar eclipse, it seemed as though Tenorio's strength had waned, and he might be unable to continue his journey, which could trigger the end of the current cosmic cycle. To prevent the catastrophic consequences of a solar eclipse and to keep the universe in balance, the Aztecs turned to one of their most profound rituals, human sacrifice. For the Aztecs, human sacrifice was not only a religious duty, but also a necessary act to ensure the survival of the world. The gods had sacrificed themselves to create the world and keep the sun moving, and humans were obligated to repay this debt by offering their blood and lives in return. When a solar eclipse occurred, it was seen as a direct threat to the cosmic order. The Aztecs believed that the gods needed extra sacrifices during these times to restore the balance and prevent the world from ending. Priests would conduct elaborate rituals in the temples, offering human hearts to the gods in an effort to appease them and to help the sun god regain his strength. These rituals were performed in public, often with great pomp and ceremony, to ensure that all could witness the Aztecs' efforts to save the world from destruction. The emperor, or Huitzilopochtli, played a central role during times of cosmic uncertainty, such as during solar eclipses. As the intermediary between the gods and the people, the emperor was responsible for maintaining cosmic order through religious ceremonies and sacrifices. During an eclipse, the emperor would consult with high-ranking priests, known as Tlamacasques, who interpreted the eclipse's meaning and advised on the appropriate rituals. The priests, as custodians of the Aztec calendar and astronomy, could predict eclipses with reasonable accuracy. However, their predictions were not used to calm the population, but to prepare for the necessary religious responses. The priests were responsible for ensuring that the gods were properly honored during these times of celestial distress, particularly through the offering of sacrifices to the sun god Tanadia. While the Aztecs were sophisticated astronomers who could predict eclipses, their interpretations remained deeply tied to their religious worldview. For them, the universe was in a constant state of flux, and any cosmic disturbance such as an eclipse was cause for alarm. During an eclipse, it was believed that the world stood on the brink of collapse, and the balance between creation and destruction was temporarily suspended. The fear that the eclipse might signal the end of the fifth sun was rooted in their apocalyptic belief system. The Aztecs were always aware that their world, like the previous four, could end at any time. The unpredictability of solar eclipses, combined with their stark and dramatic visual impact, made these events powerful reminders of the fragility of life and the looming possibility of apocalypse. After the fall of the Aztec Empire in the early 16th century, following the arrival of Spanish conquistadors led by Hernán Cortés, much of Aztec culture and religious practice was suppressed or destroyed. However, the Aztec beliefs surrounding solar eclipses have endured through historical records, codices, and oral traditions. Their intricate understanding of astronomy, combined with their rich mythological tapestry, reveals a civilization that saw the heavens as intimately connected to the fate of humanity. Today, the Aztec interpretation of solar eclipses as apocalyptic events serves as a fascinating window into the worldview of a civilization that placed the sun at the center of its spiritual life. While modern science has demystified the mechanics of eclipses, the awe and reverence that ancient peoples, including the Aztecs, felt for these events continue to inspire respect for the mysteries of the cosmos. The Aztecs viewed solar eclipses as powerful and dangerous events tied to the possible end of the universe and the current era of the fifth sun. These eclipses were seen as moments when the cosmic balance was threatened, and they responded with rituals and sacrifices to prevent the apocalypse. For the Aztecs, their belief in the cycles of creation and destruction meant that every solar eclipse carried the potential for world-ending catastrophe, making their rituals and sacrifices essential acts of cosmic preservation. Through these practices, the Aztecs sought to maintain harmony between the heavens and the earth, ensuring that their world would continue for a little longer under the fifth sun.